Welcome to the Endeavors AI podcast, the show where we talk to people behind the mission on what it takes to actually move the needle on something that matters. I'm Colin McKee, founder of Endeavors AI, and today's episode is one I've really been looking forward to for some time. My guest today is Lieutenant Randy Sutton. Randy spent 34 years in law enforcement, 10 in Princeton, New Jersey, and 24 in the Las Vegas metro, retiring as one of the most decorated officers in the department's history. You may know his face from shows such as Cops or the movie Casino. He's an author, a national commentator, a Points of Light Award recipient, and he's been called the voice of American law enforcement. But the reason he's here today is the mission that's become his life's work. He's the founder of the Wounded Blue, the national organization supporting injured and disabled law enforcement officers. Randy, welcome. I'm glad you're here.
Well, I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
So let's start just simple. Who is the Wounded Blue for?
The Wounded Blue is the National Assistance and Support Organization for Injured and Disabled Law Enforcement Officers. It's a nationwide charity that I founded about 8 years ago that has now helped pretty close to 17,000 American law enforcement officers who've been injured either physically or emotionally and psychologically in the line of duty. And we're a very unique organization. My entire team is made up of police officers who have been shot or stabbed or beaten or run over or faced serious post-traumatic stress and come out on the other side. And they're the heroes of the Wounded Blue. They're the ones that continue to serve their brothers and sisters to help them deal with the situations when they become injured or disabled. And it's a it's a dynamic charity. I couldn't be more proud of my team. And we are literally saving lives, saving careers, saving marriages. And so it's very fulfilling work.
That's awesome. So, taking back to the moment everything changed for you, that stroke in the police car. What do you remember about that day?
Everything. So as you mentioned, I did 10 years as a police officer in the small town of Princeton, New Jersey. And that was my hometown. And it was a great little town, but it didn't give me the opportunities that I wanted for action. I wanted to be a real cop. And of course, no matter where you are, you're going to have instances where you can be a real cop, but I wanted a lot more action. So halfway into my career, I had about another 10 years or so to go to retirement, believe it or not. I decided that I was going to completely change my direction, and I started all over again with the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department. Had to go take the test, had to go through the academy, literally begin my career all over again. It's a decision I never looked back on. That was the best decision I ever could have made for what my goals were. So I started all over again, rose to the rank of lieutenant, and I never promoted higher than that because in Las Vegas, that's the highest rank you can actually still get in a black and white and go, be a real cop. And I spent my entire lieutenant's career on the graveyard shift because in Vegas, that's where the action is. So I had a great career. I did a lot of different things along the way. I was on the TV show Cops, like I think I was the most featured officer on the show or one of them. Anyway, and then that led to some film roles where I got into the Screen Actors Guild and have been doing movies and TV ever since. And also written a number of books. You can see behind me, there's a wall, and then there's a little NYPD thing here. Well, my first book I wrote because of when the Twin Towers went down. I was very frustrated at not being able to help those officers. It was the deadliest day in law enforcement history with 72 officers dying. And I wanted to do something for the families. And I thought about a book, and I had had some significant stories from my career. And I thought, you know what? Every cop I know has significant stories. I'm going to ask them to write those stories. I'm going to put them in a book, and I'm going to donate all the royalties to the Widows and Orphans Fund for the cops who were killed in 9/11. That's exactly what I did, and raised a significant amount of money. And that started my writing career, and I've been writing ever since. My last book came out about 6 months ago called Rescuing 911, The Fight for America's Safety. And I've had a very varied career, and that helped when it came down to what my mission is now. If you had asked me what I was going to do in my post-retirement years, it wouldn't have been this. I had some plans, but fate or God or whatever entity you believe in played a played a difference or made a difference in my future. And I what happened was I had a stroke in my police car, and I was on Las Vegas Boulevard, the famed Las Vegas Strip, driving down the strip at 2:30 in the morning with a young patrol officer with me talking like I'm talking to you right now, and suddenly I felt my brain slowing down, and I literally started talking slower, and I knew it was happening. I knew I was having a stroke. So I stopped the car right in the middle of the road and I said, "Hey, get me medical. I'm having a stroke." And I got out of the car to go around to the passenger side and I started speaking gibberish. And I knew I was speaking gibberish, but I couldn't control it. And then I lost the ability to speak and move altogether and just crumpled to the pavement and lay there helpless, unable to move, unable to speak, but fully aware of everything that's going on around me. And it was devastating. Once again, that angel that's been on my shoulder my entire career is with me again. And they got me to the hospital. The clot went through the brain. It did its damage, but certainly not what it could have done. And I'm recovering in the hospital, and I'm feeling pretty good. Doctor comes in. He says, uh, "How you feeling, Randy?" I said, "Quite honestly, I feel pretty good. I'm ready to get out of here and go back to work." And he looked at me and he said, "I don't want you to be under the mistaken impression that anything we did here in the hospital is going to preclude you from walking out of here and having another stroke or a heart attack because you have a very serious heart condition and you need to prepare yourself for your own mortality." And that is not what I intended to hear. Now, I should mention that 3 weeks before this happened, my mother died in my arms. A couple months before that, I was involved in another fatal shooting. So there was a lot going on in my heart and my brain anyway. Uh, and then they give me that little tidbit of news. And it changed, it changed everything for me. Suddenly, I know I'm never going to be a cop again. Um, I lost my mother, and now I'm losing my job, losing my self identity. I've been a cop my entire adult life. And then what happened next is what really changed the trajectory of my life, and that's that my own department that I gave 24 years of my life to just said, "We're not paying your medical bills, and we're not giving you your benefits." And I was shocked. I said, "You can't do that. There's a law that covers me." And they said, "Yeah, well, make us." The devastating feeling of being abandoned like that, the feeling of betrayal was startling, and it took me to some very dark places. So I had to get a lawyer, I had to fight them. They lost every single hearing, and yet they continue to spend tens of thousands of dollars of taxpayers' money to fight me. And I couldn't figure out why. I even wanted to go see the sheriff who I served with for 24 years, and I said, "How do you treat me like this?" And he looked me right in the eye and said, "Randy, this isn't personal. It's just business." And I found out he was telling me the truth. You see, I was no longer an asset to the department. I'm now a liability, a financial liability. And they knew here's the craziest part. This is going to be the most, for those who are watching and listening to this is going to be the part that astounds you. And the reason that they were they knew I was going to win the case, but the reason that they were stretching it out for the year and a half that they knew it would take was because they were hoping I would die in the meantime. And that's a very harsh reality, especially to face as a cop who, was a huge believer in my agency and in the brotherhood of policing, et cetera. And they would rather have me dead so they wouldn't have to pay. Well, then, because of being on cops and being in the movies and writing books and being a police trainer, cops from around the country started reaching out to me with their stories. "Randy, I know you don't know me, but I was shot in the line of duty and my chief never even visited me in the hospital. They're not paying my medical bills. Randy, I was paralyzed when a drunk driver hit my police car. They'd thrown me away." And they all ended the same way. "I feel forgotten. I feel alone." And then the worst was, "I wish I'd never survived that night." Heartbreaking stuff. And I realized that this is a national issue. It wasn't me. This is happening to cops all over the country, and there was no resource for these men and women. So I created it, and we are the Wounded Blue, and we are the National Assistance and Support Organization, and we have touched the lives of almost 17,000 police officers in this nation. We're saving lives, we're saving careers, we're saving marriages, and it's an incredible experience.
So for the viewing audience, I think there's a lot that are hearing about the Wounded Blue for the first time. Tell them what the organization actually does when an officer reaches out to you guys.
Our main focus is peer support. Because just like when it happened to me and I was shocked and I didn't know anybody that had experienced this. So providing peer support, that's all of my team. Everybody on my team, I've told you, has been shot, stabbed, beaten, run over, screwed up, and screwed over. They're all certified peer team members. They've been trained in how to counsel other peers, and we have tremendous resources. We get people into treatment all the time, but most people just need somebody to talk to, somebody that has been in their shoes because none of them can believe how they're being treated. And when you know you're not the Lone Ranger, when you know that it's not just happening to you, but it's happening to thousands of people across the country, while it's as wrong as it gets, at least it's nice to know that you're in good company, that there are other heroes that have experienced this, and we help people negotiate this trauma, and we have great resources for getting people into treatment for psychological trauma. We have people, that we get into treatment for addiction because unfortunately it's a major problem in law enforcement. We've helped medically. We've got some incredible stories. It's an officer that was told he would never walk again, was basically in pain, horrible pain for 7 years. We found him the finest spinal surgeon in the United States, and he danced with his daughter at a wedding 5 months ago. So we've had some tremendous successes, and we're touching a lot of lives.
Yeah, I mean, you say the powers that be changed your course. I mean, what does that actually do? What kind of effect does it give you to know that you're being that resource for your brothers and sisters in law enforcement, that, you can be the one to help them get that help? What kind of feeling? I mean, I guess it's probably hard to put in words, but try. What does that do for you to know that
Well,
you could do
I
that
tell
for?
you, it's actually something I've given a lot of thought to, and it's legacy. When the doctors told me you need to prepare yourself for your own mortality, that stimulated a lot of thought in my little pea brain. It's like, all right, in the time that I have left, what am I going to do that's going to make a difference in people's lives? And the first thing was I wrote a book called The Power of Legacy. And I went around the country talking to people who've done amazing things with their lives about who it was in their lives that encouraged them to to play that role. And it changed my life because I came to realize there's so many people that have been changed by trauma. We don't grow and we don't learn through happiness.
Right. That's
We
so true.
learn and we grow through trauma. And that's why we often hear the term post traumatic stress disorder. I don't use that word, the phrase. We call it post traumatic stress injury because it is an injury and it can be fixed. But there's also something we don't talk about, and that's post traumatic stress growth. And that is taking those terrible pain and the experience and the trauma that you went through and using it for self growth, for changing the world for the better through that growth. And it's something that now people are starting to consider and start to talk about. And I'm a huge believer in that.
Yeah. Amen. So I mean, there's so many people out there that probably have no clue about this gap that exists in our law enforcement,
Right.
and,
Hell, even cops don't know.
right?
I wouldn't. I was 34 years on the job. I never would have expected that that I would be treated in such a manner. And that's one
Why
of
do
the
you think?
things that when people are disillusioned by this type of treatment, it creates serious emotional upheaval. And we have a very bad suicide issue in law enforcement, and this just exacerbates it.
Right, 100%. So why do you think it stays invisible? To ask a stupid question, Why do you think it does that no one's aware of it?
Um, it's very fragmented. The law enforcement community, even though it's small, is very fragmented. There's about 17,000 different police agencies in this country. Everybody's got a different chief, everybody's got different communications. There's no real unity or continuity. And so cops don't even know that these issues exist. Well, the people who and I fully believe that most people support law enforcement. I mean, I hugely believe that despite what you might see in the mass media, et cetera, and so forth, and the protests and that insanity. Most people believe in their police. They believe in the necessity for having them. They believe they're heroes as they are. But it's incongruous to even conceive that a cop can get shot in the line of duty and thrown away. It's so unbelievable. It's literally unbelievable. I have people tell when I pitch folks about, when I'm raising money, they look at me like I have 3 eyes. What do you mean a cop can get shot in the head in the line of duty and just be thrown away? Well, that can't happen. It is so unbelievable that people don't believe it. And so it's hard to get your head around. And it's also very difficult, as a charity. I mean, I have very limited funds. And, we try to get the word out as much as possible, but it's a constant battle to get the word out and tell people who we are and what we do. Costs money, it's expensive.
So to that end, if you wanted to put one fact in the mind of every American this week, what would that be?
That would be that the men and women who are serving in the law enforcement world today are facing challenges like never before. The the social issues that are facing the law enforcement community because of the mistaken belief and some of the incredible disinformation that's being put out there about what cops and who cops really are is degrading to law enforcement. We're in a law enforcement crisis right now that people aren't even talking about. I address it in my book, Rescuing 911, the fight for America's safety, because there are cities in this nation that don't have enough police officers to police effectively. They've been defunded, they have been disbanded in some cases. We can't retain the police officers that we did have, and we can't recruit cops because they're just saying, why would I do that? Why would I do this job for $50,000 a year, put my life on the line, and then because it's 10 seconds of videotape, go to prison? So this is one of the factors that I fight. Now I fight this in a couple different ways. In my role as the founder of the Wounded Blue, I do speaking engagements all over the nation. I'm a commentator on many, many different media um, media platforms, television, radio, podcasts. I do at least one media interview every 3 days, at least. So I was on Newsmax this morning at 4:30 in the morning. Well, 7:30 if you're in the East Coast, but 4:30 my time. And I never turned down an opportunity to talk about the mission and talk about the law enforcement community, because if people have a thirst for knowledge, and I fully believe that they want to help. They want to feel safe in their homes. Well, the only people that are standing up for them are the cops. It's not the people they're electing, and the stupidness of some of the people I see getting elected who have absolutely no desire to keep the people safe that are who are electing them. That makes me absolutely mad, and I mean that in not just anger, but in the word crazy mad. Because people aren't not they never s most people have never seen evil. I've seen evil, and you can't really understand it until you've been there. So people are still a little, "Do I really are the police really gonna play a role in my life?" Chances are, maybe not, but if you need them, they sure as hell better be there.
So you run a pretty tight organization, as you mentioned. You don't have infinite resources. What's the bottleneck to what stops you from getting to the right people or from the right people finding you? Is it having the time? Because I mean, you spend a
That's a
lot of your
great
time.
question. I try to get out there as much as humanly possible. I think that there's still some apathy that, people got their own problems. People are busy, they're surviving, and of course, based on the economy, they may not have enough money to give to a charity. What I ask the normal human being for, I ask them to donate $9.11 a month to the Wounded Blue. And what I say is this: when you need help, you call 911, but when the police need help, they call the Wounded Blue. So donate $9.11 a month to us. If I could just get enough people to do that, I wouldn't have to beat my brains against the wall going to companies. A lot of companies, you'd be shocked. You'd be shocked at some of the companies I've approached who tell me, "Randy, I love your mission, but we can't put our name on it because, the police, people, some people don't like the police." And those people and those companies that are espouse that belief, I have no respect for whatsoever. We saw some of the most incredible disinformation campaigns come out, literally trying to destroy the law enforcement community several times over the last decade. And they were highly effective in really, really damaging the police profession and the very cities that the police defend. You go to Minneapolis right now, they don't have enough cops to answer their calls. And they can't recruit anybody because nobody wants to work for them. So what happens? These cops, I went up there to visit these officers, and I mean, I've never seen anything like it. It's like every cop has the 1,000-yard stare because they're so beat down by their own government, their own leadership, and they need to believe that there's what they're doing is valuable and that they are appreciated, and that's part of the mission of the Wounded Blue as well.
Yep. Yeah, it's a sad state of affairs. It really is. Okay, well, let me get just a quick little snippet of AI because I run an AI company. But honestly, it's not the tech that gets me really amped. It's what it allows people frees up their time to do. A force multiplier, so they can do what really they're passionate about. So, if there was, someone that we can put in place, a tireless assistant for the Wounded Blue, that would find every department, every officer, never sleep, where would you point that AI resource to first? Where would it start its deployment? Would it look out at the federal order, fraternal order of police, or would it go more on the corporate side? It sounds like corporate's probably a tough road to hoe right now with everybody's views on the police force. But where's your target audience that you try to reach out to?
I have
That just takes
two target audiences. One is the law enforcement community. Most cops don't even know we exist. And so if they don't know we exist, we can't give them the help that they need. So that's one issue there, that getting the word out to the cops that we're here. I mean, I've literally had police officers come to, say we're doing an event like a National Police Week, and we have a booth set up, says the Wounded Blue. A cop will walk by and go, who are you guys? And when I explain it to him, I've literally had officers break down and cry, and we get them into treatment within hours because they had nobody. They're suffering internally, but didn't know there was anybody to help. So even getting the word out to the cops that we are here and we're a resource for them. That's one. The other is to the vast majority of people out there who support law enforcement that would happily donate $9.11 a month to us. Or, those I had one I have one donor who saw me on the news, contacted me, and since then has played an actually unbelievable role in saving cops' lives because he saw me on the news, and he reached out to me and said, "How can I help?" And this guy has great resources, and because of that, he's used those resources in ways that are literally saving lives physically. So
awesome.
It's really a matter of getting people to know who we are, what our mission is, and how they can help, whether it's $9 and 11 cents a month or it's an endowment for 5 million. Whatever whatever you believe that if you're moved by these stories and you're moved by what our mission is, I'm out there all the time, man. I put my email out. People can contact me anytime.
Awesome. So let's do a quick snippet about Cops Coffee because that's coming down the pike
Yeah,
here. So
I'm
what's the
really
story
excited
behind it?
about this.
Well, tell us about it.
So, from being on the TV show Cops literally for years, I've had a strong relationship with in fact, I'm really aging myself here, but I was actually on the very first year the Cops came out. And they had just signed another 2-year agreement with Fox, and they're gonna be 40 years on air. It's unbelievable. And the owner of the TV show, his name is Morgan Langley. He's the son of the original owner. He's a huge supporter of the Wounded Blue. He donates to us. And he came to me and he said, "Randy, I want to do more than just send you a check now and then. But we've never allowed anybody to use our intellectual property, our logo, our song. But I've been thinking about it. We will give you the license to use all of our intellectual property to help raise money for the Wounded Blue by creating a coffee company. And as a result, Cops Coffee is about to be born. And so it's going to be really high quality, delicious coffee at reasonable prices. And all of the profits go to help injured and disabled cops. There's not a coffee company in America that does that. You know, you'll see ads, a percentage goes to this charity or percentage goes to veterans or whatever it is. The sole reason that Cops Coffee exists is to change the lives of injured and disabled officers through the Wounded Blue.
It's fantastic.
So drink coffee, enjoy it, and we call it to sip and serve. It's
There
coffee
you
with a
go.
mission. And the site is not live yet, but it will be soon. It's copscoffee.org, copscoffee.org. It's going to be launched here probably within the next couple of weeks, at least the pre-order site, and people can jump on there and subscribe to it. Get a bag a week, bag a month, whatever your coffee tastes are, and have some great coffee and know that you are helping injured and disabled officers while you're doing it. It's a pretty cool thing.
Awesome. We'll put a link to that in the show notes. And then for everyone listening, what can they do to be useful today? The Cops Coffee is coming down the pike maybe in the next month. How about today? Where should they go?
Go to cops. I got I got coffee on the brain. Woundedblue.org. That's thewoundedblue.org. And hit that donate button and give what you can. If you could donate $9.11 a month, we'd love it. If you've got $5, do that. If you got $5 million, why don't you give me a call? And I'll take your call.
All right. So, last question, years from now, when your legacy is complete and the Wounded Blue has done all that you had dreamed that it would, what does the world look like then for the men and the women of law enforcement? What's your goal at the end of it?
They remember this phrase that you will never be forgotten and you will never be alone.
Amen. That's awesome. Well, Randy Sutton, we really appreciate the conversation. We will get the word out there and spread it as much as we can, as far and wide as possible. Again, I'm Colin McKee of Endeavors AI. We appreciate you listening, and we look forward to seeing you on the next show.